Hey everyone, my name's Alyssa and I'm an incoming freshman at UC Berkeley. Today I'll be sharing how I got in, including some of my stats, extracurriculars, and real advice for college apps. So first, I'll give you guys some background. I went to 3 high schools in total. My first high school was an international school in Shanghai, China. My second school was a public school in Michigan, and then my third school was a private boarding high school in Michigan. So I think having those 3 different high schools made me a very diverse applicant. So as for my cumulative GPA, I had a 3.9 out of 4 unweighted, and my weighted GPA was around a 4.2. That being said, I didn't take that many APs. I took 6 APs total. I would say my school is pretty rigorous and has a limit on how many APs you can take. Here's my GPA breakdown for all 4 years. In 9th grade, I had a 4.0. 10th grade, I had around a 3.95. Junior year, I had a 3.7 or 3.75, something like that. And then senior year, I had a 3.85. So for the UC schools, they're test blind, so you can't actually submit any scores, but I got a 1490 on the SAT. I also didn't take any college courses or dual enrollment, which I know a lot of students in California or elsewhere do. So now let's talk about what I think set me apart the most, which is my extracurriculars. Sign into my UC portal to tell you guys exactly what I wrote for my extracurriculars. So the first activity that I did was I worked as a dance teacher at a AAPI women-owned dance studio. Second, I had an AI fashion internship, and this was about 20 hours a week for 8 weeks of the year. Third, I mentioned my content creation. I make some content on my Chinese social media as well as Instagram, and I'm trying to start on YouTube as well. Fourth, I touched on my Presidential Volunteer Service Award. So that means that I had worked like over 100-something hours for my age group, and I think that really set me apart because I think Berkeley really values community service. It's just good to have like that solid award so they know that you're not like bluffing or anything. Next, I mentioned my main sport, which was basketball. And honestly, I wasn't that good at basketball, but I ended up playing varsity for my junior year. Next, I mentioned my extracurricular in dance again, where I founded my school's dance club and also participated in various dance activities. For my next 2, I mentioned my engagement as media and curriculum head for 2 business nonprofits. And I think this took up a lot of time and really showed my interest in my field. Even though I'm not doing business anymore, but that's what I wanted to apply for. Next is another business activity. I wrote about my participation in Business Professionals of America and the awards that I got for that. Next is more volunteering. I wrote about my volunteering at my local Chinese school, which kind of shows like my cultural involvement and my community involvement. Next, I wrote about my employment at a boba tea store. This is not related to my academics at all, but it was just really fun, and it shows that I kind of like got a glimpse of what it's like to work in the service industry, and that I'm trying to like explore things. Next, I wrote about my engagement in Make-A-Wish at my school, where we went to hospitals and did a lot of fundraising. Then I just touched on some more engagement that I had at my school in our mental health organization as well as conduct review board. They also ask you to name your educational preparation programs, and I participated in Wharton's Leadership in the Business World and the Harvard Pre-College program, so I mentioned those as well. Whew, okay, that was a lot. So those were my activities, and I think that the amount of volunteering and work that I had was really good. I do think as an applicant, I lack a little bit on the academic awards and honors because a lot of people are doing like Science Olympiad or a lot of like DECA or BPA, but I didn't really participate in that. And I put more of my emphasis on my volunteer hours and kind of like building up my own social media or building up my career. And so I think there isn't one way to do it. Of course, it's amazing if you have a lot of APs or a lot of test scores, but it's not just like a one-way road. Let's talk about my personal insight questions, which are essays. I believe the UC system asks you for 4 essays. I'll just briefly touch on them, and I can maybe send them out if you guys are interested. So I have my first one is describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts. And for this, I wrote about COVID. I know this is like a very written about topic, but I thought that I had a really good story. I wrote about how I was in Shanghai during the 2022 lockdown, so the second lockdown, and that one hit Shanghai so hard that it was just so dystopian and crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. But I wrote about how I helped my community and helped my neighborhood with a distribution process for food because people were literally starving and had no way of getting food. And so that was one of the ways that my leadership helped our community. The next essay is asking about every person's creative side and how you show that. And of course, I wrote about content creation. I wrote about building my platform on WeChat channels and also working on 小红书 and stuff. Next is the academic subject that inspires me, and it asks you how you have furthered this interest inside and outside of the classroom. I think this is where I don't know if this is where I went wrong, but I wanted to go into business or data science, and I wrote about AI. And I think I used a lot of buzzwords that I don't know if college admissions officers necessarily like to see. If you're gonna write about like AI or something related to AI, you need to really know what you're talking about. I think I did okay, but these professionals and these people who actually work in the field, they can automatically tell if you're just writing about AI to write about AI, like you don't have a clear understanding or you don't have like a clear motive of why you want to learn machine learning or whatever. I don't know, it's tough. The last one is, what have you done to make your school or community a better place? And for this one, I took more of like an emotional standpoint. I wrote about our school's mental health organization. So yeah, I hope that this shows you guys that your application is supposed to be like very like individual, and your application should not look like anyone else's application. Really take time to think about these essay prompts and how you can like show your personality. That's it for my complete UC application and how I think I got into Berkeley. And I want to give you guys some of my advice and tips for college applications. So if you're a junior or younger or incoming senior, yeah, stay and watch this. So I applied to, I think 11 or 12 schools, got into 5, rejected from 7. My biggest advice on choosing the schools that you're applying to is, I think that miracles do happen, and be confident in yourself. So do be applying to those reaches, but also not too many. Make sure you have safety schools, but I would say don't have more than 3 safety schools. And as for target schools, only apply to schools that you would actually go to. Because no hate on Wisconsin-Madison, but I was considering applying for a really long time because I love their campus and I love everything about them. But also it's like, would I go to Wisconsin over this school? Or would I go to Wisconsin over this school if I did get in? And my answer was like, probably not. So think about that. Like, would you actually go to that school? And if the answer is no, then why are you applying? A lot of people say, please start your essays during the summer, and I think that depends. Everyone that I know who started their essay during the summer ended up editing it and changing it completely, because the essays that I had during the summer got completely scrapped when I edited them. And I just had to restart basically like right before things were due. Definitely start early so you have time to like go through the iterations and edit, but don't stress about starting your essays right away. I would say if you're bored and you have time right now, start filling in a lot of the stuff and figuring out what you want to write for your activities, because the activity descriptions took me so long and I had to like fit them within a certain word count, and it was just crazy. So I would suggest starting on that first, and then essays come later when you're like a little bit more mature mentally and you're more in the process. Be so freaking authentically you that like if the college accepts you or rejects you, it's literally God's plan. Because if you show a college exactly who you are and they accept you, then that's probably like a good place for you. And if you show them exactly who you are and they're like, no, we don't want you, then there's no reason to mourn, because that was not the right place for you. And I think it worked out because all the schools that I got into fit my personality and fit my goals. And the schools that I didn't get into, Cornell and Columbia, like they're great, but I don't think I would have thrived there either. I want to talk about mindset. Okay, if you are an ambitious student, you are going to see rejections, probably, unless you get into everything, then go you. But you will probably see rejections from maybe your dream school. I got rejected from my dream school. But the most important thing is to stay positive, because if you put effort into your application and show the schools who you are, you will be completely fine and everything works out in the end. And my biggest thing for mentally is do not compare to other people, because everyone gets into their schools for a reason. I know on Ivy Day and stuff, especially in the dorms, it was really stressful because you would be seeing other people celebrating while you die inside. But do not compare to other people. Everyone's journey is different, and trust the process. You do not need to be a perfect person. Your GP does not need to be perfect. Your SAT does not need to be perfect, even though that would be amazing. But the colleges want to understand your why and your purpose and your reason for applying to their school, and you need to tell them like what you can provide to their environment and their community and why you would fit in so well at their school. So yeah, you do not need to be perfect. You just need to be like so authentically you that they can see you for exactly who you are. And I know that's really hard because you only get like a few essays per school and some activities. So obviously you can't tell them exactly who you are, but just try your best to communicate that. Okay, so honestly, this is the first video of my college journey at Berkeley, and I'm so excited to film more content for you guys. Comment any questions you have, and I'll try my best to reply to them in the comments or make a video on them. And make sure to subscribe if you're into college content or if you enjoyed this video. Bye guys, love you.